Meeting Hae-in while she was working as an intern, countryside-raised top lawyer Hyun-woo fell for her completely unaware that she was the Queen's Group chairman's granddaughter. Now 3 years into their marriage, the couple, once so in love, live more like strangers in the same house, especially as Hyun-woo is treated like dirt by Hae-in's family. When Grace Go, the family's private secretary, tells Hyun-woo that Hae-in has excluded him from her will, he was furious. Seeing red, Hyun-woo goes to visit his hometown, where he promptly announces to his family that he's going to divorce Hae-in. However, when he goes to hand her the papers, Hae-in throws a wrench in the works when she reveals that she's only 3 months to live due to a rare, incurable brain tumor. Surprised, Hyun-woo hides the divorce papers behind his back, and keeping the condition a secret from Hae-in's family, only tells one person, his friend, Kim Yang-ki. Talking to his friend, Yang-ki encourages Hyun-woo to charm Hae-in, who knows he may be able to convince her to include him in her will in the end. Yang-ki's words spark a change in Hyun-woo's behavior, and so to the amazement of Hae-in and her family, he starts spoiling his wife. Then during a family hunt a few days later, Hae-in experiences a hallucination as nearly attacked by a boar, but Hyun-woo saves her, rekindling a spark between them. Back home, Hae-in finds hope in a cell therapy procedure with only 51% success rate, which leaves Hyun-woo unsettled. Can he really live with Hae-in for the rest of his life? However, there was more trouble brewing elsewhere, particularly as Hae-in's ex-boyfriend, business tycoon Eun-sung and Grace schemed to take over Queen's Group. When we go back to Hae-in, her initial excitement about the new cell therapy is crushed when her doctor reveals that she has too few white blood cells for the surgery. Despite this, Hae-in was determined to go to Germany and find out for herself. However, as predicted, the German doctors also refused to perform the operation. Disheartened, Hae-in wanders through a garden that she visited with Hyun-woo on their honeymoon, and walking alone, imagine how surprised Hae-in is to see none other than Hyun-woo coming toward her. Realizing in that moment their deep and lingering love for each other, Hyun-woo and Hae-in kiss. Having heard about how the hospital was refusing to operate on Hae-in, Hyun-woo had gone and threatened to sue them if they didn't figure out a way to help his wife, and as a result, while they were still in Germany, Hae-in gets an email about a potential therapy method. However, at the hospital, Hae-in gets lost in a hallucination that takes her back to a therapeutic sea accident that took her brother's life when she was a kid. Having survived while her brother drowned, the incident led Hae-in's mother to neglect and blame Hae-in ever since. Meanwhile, back in Korea, restored CCTV footage from the hunting trip shows that Cheon De-hye, Ye-in's sister-in-law, had actually on purpose cut the fence to let in the boar. As it turns out, Da-hye had married Hae-in's brother, So-cheol, as part of a plan orchestrated by Yoon-sung, whom she had met when they were living in the same orphanage as children. At the same time, the Queen's Group chairman confides in his girlfriend, Seol-hee, whom Hae-in's aunt, Byung-ja, despises, that he is dealing with a whistleblower in a company who has exposed the embezzlement within Queen Group together, and they trace a wiretap to Hyun-woo's room, and at the same time find divorce papers that he had been planning to give Hae-in. Heartbroken and betrayed by the one person that she thought she could trust, when Hae-in is sent the pictures of the divorce papers, she immediately prepares to leave Germany. On the street, Hyun-woo was shaken when Hae-in almost plummeted by a hurtling oncoming truck and wishes that he had let it hit her. When the cell therapy procedure fails, Hyun-woo, determined to give Hae-in a reason to live, directs all of Hae-in's anger toward himself, successfully reigniting her will to fight and live. Back home, Yoon-sung asks Hae-in to divorce Hyun-woo so he can marry her, but she rejects him despite her anger toward Hyun-woo. Realizing that something is wrong with Hae-in, Yeon-seong steals her medication, but is crushed to discover that they were anti-cancer pills. Abandoned as a child by his greedy mother, who was actually the chairman's girlfriend, Seol-hee, Yoon-seong had once saved Hae-in from an aggressive dog, and he had loved her ever since, making him determined to marry her. However, Hae-in still loves Hyun-woo despite being fumingly angry and even getting Vincenzo to be her divorce lawyer. She even follows him to a restaurant where she overhears him talking about how he still wants to be with her. But the dark days lie lie ahead, especially as the chairman chooses Seol-hee as his legal guardian. Playing a board game, Seol-hee drags the chairman, causing paralysis and a coma, and seizes control of Queen's Group, kicking Hyun-woo and Hae-in and her family out of their family house. The Young family is left with only one place to go: Hyun-woo's childhood home in the countryside town of Yongdu-ri. With her family clumsily adapting to country life, Hae-in and Yeon-sung plan a press conference to reclaim her position in the company. However, on the day, instead of going with what they'd planned, she reveals how Yeon-sung had been blackmailing her by threatening to release the news of her condition. Hae-in's public confession of terminal illness shocks her family, especially her mother, who is instantly hit with a wave of regret of how she had been blaming and neglecting Hae-in. Meanwhile, the chairman, who was now conscious but struggling with dementia, had been moved home, where Seol-hee was pressuring him to tell her the location of his secret slush fund, aka crucial cash for her and Yeon-sung's takeover of Queens. With Hyun-woo and Hae-in, who have gotten back together after Hae-in confessed her love for Hyun-woo after the press conference, also looking for the slush fund, the stakes have never been higher. At the same time, realizing how much Hae-in and her family depended on Hyun-woo, Yeon-sung starts scheming against him. One night, Hae-in mistakenly gets into Yeon-sung's car, believing it to be Hyun-woo's. Thrown off by her hallucinations, Hae-in nevertheless decides to join Yeon-sung in order to snoop around the house for clues, leaving Hyun-woo to be ambushed by a broker sent by Yeon-sung. In a fortunate turn of events, Hyun-woo survives by outwitting his would-be killer by convincing him that the prison term for manslaughter wouldn't be worth his effort. At the house, Hae-in manages to catch a crucial hint about the slush fund location from her grandfather, who cryptically mentions an air raid shelter. Getting lost leaving the manor, Hyun-woo rescues Hae-in, and back in Yongdu-ri, they examine the house floor plan, discovering a potential hidden room connected to the chairman's elevator. But everything was about to change when the chairman suddenly passes away from falling down the stairs, and with the chairman gone, Seol-hee was stripped of her power as his guardian, and after the funeral, Hae-in and Hyun-woo make their way to the hidden panic room where the slush fund was supposed to be. However, Seol-hee and Yeon-sung had been one step ahead and had already moved the money. Later, Hyun-woo receives a call from the German hospital, and according to the hospital, they have developed a new treatment for Hae-in, but although the surgery would remove the tumor, it would most likely also erase her memories. Keeping the side effect a secret, Hae-in and her family celebrate the news, but as Hyun-woo had predicted, when her family reveals the truth about the side effect to Hae-in in Germany, she immediately chooses to keep her memories instead of getting the procedure. Hae-in only changes her mind after a narrow escape from a car accident orchestrated against her, seeing how Hyun-woo breaks down at the chance that she might pass away. Hae-in decides to go ahead with the surgery, and however, as Hae-in was wheeled into the operating room, Hyun-woo suddenly finds himself getting arrested by Interpol cops. Sent to prison, Hyun-woo finds out that he is being accused of murdering the broker, who turned up dead after failing to kill him. So instead of seeing Hyun-woo by her bedside, Hae-in awakens to find Yeon-sung claiming to be her only true love. Returning to Korea without her memories, Hae-in visits Yeon-woo in prison, who was shocked to see her without her memories and under the influence of Yeon-sung. Once acquitted, Hyun-woo warns Hae-in to question everything. However, this is only when Hae-in finds the diary of letters that she had written to herself in Germany before her surgery that the mist in front of her eyes begins to clear. Reading her own words, Hae-in starts to recall her love for Hyun-woo and going to find him, not aware that Yeon-sung was tracking her every move. Hae-in was about to cross the road when she is suddenly kidnapped by Yeon-sung. Determined to marry her and take her to the US the next day, Yeon-sung takes Hae-in to the hunting lodge, and listening in to Yeon-sung's conversation with Seol-lee, Hae-in was surprised to learn that it had been Seol-hee who had tampered with the boat that day at the beach. However, as she was listening, Hae-in was spotted in the reflection of the glass, and Yeon-sung chases after her in the dark. At the moment, Yeon-woo, whose ribs and liver were ruptured thanks to the car accident, arrives to rescue her. Being chased by Yeon-sung across the deep snow, when Yeon-sung decides that it would be better to kill Hae-in rather than have her go back to Hyun-woo, Yeon-woo ends up taking Yeon-sung's bullet, and as a result, the police shoot and kill Yeon-sung. Luckily, Hyun-woo survived surgery, and it's even revealed that it was Hyun-woo who had saved Hae-in from drowning all those years earlier. With Hyun-woo safe, Seol-hee is taken to court, and despite trying her best to squirm her way out of trouble, all of Seol-hee's crimes, including the murder of Hae-in's brother and the drugging of the chairman, end up getting exposed. In the end, with Seo-hee in jail, Hyun-woo and Hae-in go back to their original jobs and get remarried. They even go to visit Germany with their daughter, and years later, an elderly Hyun-woo is seen visiting Hae-in's gravestone.